14-year-old baby boy. We always called him Baby Boy. That's the nickname that his sister came up with. And he just was curious about everything, and that intense curiosity, as well as being 14 and trying to be his own person, really led him into this space of experimentation. We always knew Alex was going to have an experimental phase, and we educated him. We talked about these things at the level at which any of us would. And as he got older, those conversations became more and more mature. And we thought we had this. We thought we were really ready for this, but we did not know what we were up against. No one was talking about the shift in drugs in America at the time. No one was talking about the depths of social media harm. So we were educating him based on what we learned and what we were seeing. The narrative hadn't changed since I was in high school, and which was a while ago. And so we were doing the things, and that intense curiosity in this kiddo just got the best of him, and this drug dealer knew how to exploit that. And at first we thought I was really confused. I thought it was this one-off situation that happened in our house, but I started to meet other families very quickly that were finding me and saying the same thing happened to them, that their kid died from a pill on Snapchat. Eventually a mom reached out to me with pictures of this drug dealer talking about my kid on Snapchat. This drug dealer is connected to other deaths, and I just am so afraid. We spoke out right away. We told everybody the truth as we knew it at that time about what happened, because I was terrified one of his friends would be next. He had just been hanging out with him that night. Like, it could have been any one of his friends that night. It just happened to be Alex. And so we knew it was important to talk about this so people could get up to date. And the other thing is, parents, I meet people all the time, like, my kid's smarter than that, my kid would never do that. And you're right. Your kid might not do what Alex did, but could your kid be Jordan? Could your kid be England? Could your kid be Mason? You just never know when the time is right, when they might be having a low moment and somebody reaches out to them and they're vulnerable. Or maybe they seem like they're perfectly happy, healthy, and fine, but yet they're getting inappropriate pictures and things are coming at them, and we just don't know, because we do trust them. But we need to question it, and we need to look at it a little bit deeper. And like I said, you just never know when this could be your family.
Chief Bryce, you've spent over 30 years in law enforcement. You, I'm sure, have seen it all. If harm has come to a child and parents believe social media was involved, what can parents do to preserve evidence?
So first of all, I just want to say thanks for being here. The one thing that I've seen here in Queen Creek is that you as the residents and the people in this area want to make a difference, and I think that's where it starts. So from a law enforcement perspective, I want to say that the prevention is always the better route. When we have to do things from an investigative perspective to respond to a problem, which unfortunately a lot of times is already the tragedies happen, there's no way to reverse that. But if something happens to you, and it wasn't so long ago we were here talking about sextortion, almost in this exact type of venue, and we had a movie right before this, we talked about these things, but we continue to see this stuff happen. So if for some reason you fall victim to these things, you saw right on the film that there is forensic tools that we can use. Law enforcement and Queen Creek is very, very good at getting these things done. We have partners with the FBI, other federal partners, and local that can gather evidence. So, the big thing is to grab anything where there has been interaction with those platforms. Now, keep in mind, phone is what we go to as kind of a go-to, but our kids are being contacted, and there's conversations through things that you would not normally think of. Smart TVs, gaming systems, your Alexa, anything that's connected to the internet has potential evidence. So just make sure that, again, I would rather talk about the prevention side of it, but if for some reason you're a victim of this, preserve anything that you think that there might have been access to so that we can work on those things. Know your kid. How does your kid access that phone? How does that kid do it? What are the passwords? And just be as much involved in knowing how those things are managed in your home. If you don't have software that tracks that activity, like even just your provider, I don't think that's me, but I love the music. So is that the other one? All right. I got some good music there. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but we had some good stuff back here. But even at your home on your internet provider, there are ways to track activity, connections, IP addresses. So just be aware there's a lot of safety features. I could probably go on for about 2 days talking about what you can add on to there. But we, all of these different individuals up here, and especially Amy and all the things she's been doing here, there are resources that are easily accessed online and a way to get to that, to not only have these audit trails and tracking mechanisms on phones, but every other device that you have. So there are tools out there, and we can certainly point you in the right direction.
Thank you. Nikki, we know you are passionate about social media reform and really creating online spaces, safe spaces for youth. Talk a little bit more about your podcast and the nonprofit that you focus on these issues.
Sure. So back in 2023, I was running my own social media marketing company, actually, on the other side of this. And I remember sitting at dinner one night with a friend, and I saw a mom and maybe a 10-year-old boy walk in and sit next to us. And I thought, so cute, they're having a mommy-son date. And he pulled out a phone out of his pocket, and he scrolled on that phone for an hour and a half while she sat and sipped wine and also scrolled on her phone. And on the other side of me, there was a teenage girl with her mom and grandma just looking miserable to be there and on her phone. And I thought, is this what I can expect for my 3 kids? Like, is this the road that they're gonna go down? And so I started to do more research about how kids were being affected by social media, and I found that suicide rates for kids aged 10 to 14 had tripled since we started handing them phones and devices. I saw that the Surgeon General gave a warning that 3 or more hours on social media doubles kids' risk of anxiety and depression. And then I saw stories like Amy's and so many other parents who did the best job that they could, who did everything that they knew to do, and they still lost their child to something that happened on social media. And I shut my business down and created a space where parents can hear these stories in a safe space, and so we can make more informed decisions about what we give our kids, when we give it to them, if at all, and what they have access to. And so the podcast is there with hundreds of episodes, but also I've been able to join Amy in lobbying on Capitol Hill and protesting in front of Meta and Snapchat and all these companies to try to get them to change from the inside as well. So there's a lot of work we can do as parents and even youth, and we need to be able to use our voices to do that.
Thank you. I had a lot of mommy guilt watching that because my kids, my mom is with me. They spend so much time on their phones, on social media. She's always calling. The girls are still on their phones, and it's really difficult. And I'm really hoping, Robin, that you can help with this because you just recently graduated from high school. I want you to be honest. How much time do you spend on social media?
Not my proudest, but probably more than 8 hours, like a day.
A day, more than 8. You're not uncommon at all, and we're not judging. This is a judge-free zone right here. So you're in a gap year right now, but you're going to eventually be going off and doing amazing things. What kind of support do you think young people like yourself need to use social media more safely?
Well, obviously I have like my amazing parents, but sometimes there's some things you don't want to tell your parents, and that's just like something for everybody. Like, you don't want to tell your parents everything. I'm sure you guys don't either. So like having my parents, obviously, but I have 2 siblings, and having people like Amy and Naomi, also like if I was, oh no, okay. If I was like seeing things that I wouldn't want to tell my parents, I would be able to tell like my peers, my siblings, Amy, Naomi, like any of these people. So having like all of these different people are very, very important, because if you just have your parents, like sometimes you don't want to tell them things, so.
Do you find it safer on social media to share?
No.
Okay.
Sharing like in person, like if I told my siblings in person, like I've seen a lot on the internet and it's not a cool place, but like, so like I would tell like my sister, like, and she'd be there for me, or I could tell Amy, or I could tell Naomi. Just having like
A human connection.
all of these human connections, and not always on the phone connections are important.
Thank you. That's a great answer. So Mayor, I'm going to come back to you as the mic makes its way. There's a lot of families in this audience. There's educators, youth. What can we do because we may feel like, I'm powerless, there's nothing I can do. What can we do to help shape city policy or get more involved in prevention efforts?
So one thing that I love that we started, it was just 2 years ago. We started it in partnership with the Queen Creek Chamber, and it's called For Our Town. I love it because we have nonprofits, we have faith-based communities, our churches, we have businesses, we have residents, we have people that want to be involved, that are concerned residents, that they come together and we tackle these important issues. So before we started this, we put it out to the community. What is the most pressing issue Queen Creek is facing? And what came back overwhelmingly was our teens' mental health. And we took that and we ran with it, and how do we solve it? And it's not anyone's job, but us together, collectively, we come together and we come up with different things. And from events to education to all of these different things, trying to help solve this. And for me being mayor, one of my most important things was to bring a voice to our youth. And I have 4 children of my own. I have 2 teenagers. I have 2 twins as well. They'll be teenagers in a couple years here. So this is very real. And I try and understand the issues they're facing. I try and understand social media. You watch something like this and it's so incredibly eye-opening. To the extent that social media harms. And one thing I've been really proud of, just this last year, we just celebrated our first successful year of the Mayor's Teen Advisory Committee. And that allows our youth to come to the table. They can talk about these things that are issues of our youth that they're afraid to talk to their parents about, or we don't even know it as an issue. You think about having a conversation, you enjoy having a conversation when you're participating, right? When someone's asking you and you get to be part of that. So these youth come together, they get to decide what's on the agenda. What are we talking about? What are we solving? How are we coming together? How are we working with these schools? They all come from different schools. How do we work with them to help them help create policies within their own school that are good for the health of our youth, mental health, physical health. And again, just having that communication. We talked about, we just need to keep talking about this and involving our youth. And where do concerned residents go to try and help and be involved?
Well, Robin at the end of the table might be a very good person for this advisory board. This might be a great option for you in your gap year. Amy, I think all of us have an incredible amount of respect and love and empathy and admiration for you. Your experience has been probably the worst that any one of us could have ever imagined. What are some of the most common misunderstandings that parents have about these platforms and how they really operate behind the scenes? Because one of the things that I found when I spoke to you, you called the day that Alexander was brave enough to tell you, Mom, I have a problem with OxyContin. You got right on the phone and you called a treatment center and you were going to take him the next day, but he died that night.
So what parents really need to understand is that we faced a lot of stigma in this space, especially when I go out and do public events like this. Inevitably, somebody will email me, tell me what a horrible mom I was. It's my fault because we gave him too much access. You should have just took his phone away. Your kid's stupid. You do drugs, you die. What did you think was going to happen? Like, I've heard it all. Now, some people are just trolls, but some people are really uncomfortable just with the thought of all of this. And some people are genuine in what they're saying to me. And what I have to say to those people, number one, is like, you know what? I'm glad that you don't know what this feels like. Like, I would never wish this on anyone ever in the history of my life. However, we have to be more compassionate. We have to listen to people without that judgment and start thinking about, we have to listen to learn, not listen to respond. when we're having these conversations, and ask questions. Ask really important questions from people. You know, a lot of times I'll come to a place like this and somebody will be like, I wanted to talk to you, but I was afraid I would remind you. Well, I'm never going to forget you guys, so talk to me about it. You're not going to remind me. It's in my mind. I think about Alex all of the time. Like sometimes he's really loud music and sometimes he's background noise, but he's always on my mind. I'm never not thinking about him. So you don't know what's happening in your neighbor's house. Maybe you've got a grumpy neighbor. Maybe you've made all these judgments about them, but the reality is you just don't know what's happening in that household. Reach out, be a friend, be that shoulder. You know, give a shoulder, get a shoulder, and have these open conversations with your family. Because I don't know if you guys have heard the saying, I had a lot of conversations with people in our community, and then it's like, you know, but I appreciate you not telling anybody this because of what I do in the town or what their job is or whatever it is. But my message to people who don't want to share their personal stories, shame dies in the light. We can break down those stigmas. Your story is somebody else's lifeline. You can help move the needle on these issues by sharing your own personal experiences.
Thank you. Chief Bryce, we know fentanyl access, and we just saw it in the film, has been linked to platforms like Snapchat. How is your department working to address the sale or trafficking of drugs on social media?
Again, I want to go back to the first thing is that prevention is always the best route. Again, investigations, especially on these platforms, is very, very difficult because as you saw in the video, most of these companies hide what they do and they do not really respond well to our subpoenas or warrants. Amy said...
Snap said they cooperate with law enforcement.
So, yeah, let's go with kind of. But the problem is Snap's a really good example, is that yes, they cooperate when we ask them, kind of. They respond eventually, but it's very, very slow. And then most of the time they say we don't have any data that's been saved. Because again, as you saw, these platforms specifically make it difficult for law enforcement to get information. So the one thing I want to say here real quick is that the only way that for us to be really successful in these things is to have a good, and she said the word community, is that the way that we solve these problems is understanding and being aware. I want to say this, people think it's Queen Creek, we have a really, really low crime rate here, this is a great place to live. This stuff is happening to your neighbor in your backyard. I did not think so when I first became the chief here, thinking, man, such a quiet town, no problem. And I had worked here before with the sheriff's office, but I'm telling you, I've seen more mental health problems, more drug use, more sextortion than I thought was even possible in our town. So everything that was talked about in this video today happens here regularly. If not daily, it's at least weekly that we see these things. So it's happening to your neighbors. It might even happen to somebody in this room. We almost inevitably, we have people to disclose after we have these events. They'll come and talk to me or they'll call the next day. So again, these companies are very, very difficult to work with. So as much as you can preserve on your end is where we get the best information. Understand, like sextortion, it's never somebody that lives next door to you or it's a neighbor in the community. These are people outside of the United States, a lot of times very, very experienced hackers and people that do these scams all the time. You're about the 50,000th person they probably talked to or hit that day. This stuff is very, very difficult for us to deal with, and I'll be really honest with you, it's very hard to solve. You know, there are cases where we've been very successful, but without talking about specifics, we had a person here that 14-year-old boy was extorted because he took a picture of himself that he was talking to somebody, and he was able to finagle $40,000 out of his mom's account between credit cards, money orders, and other things that they were able to do. This kid, 14-year-old, sent wires and all kinds of things across to these people. And I'm telling you, it's not inaccurate when they say they pressure and pressure and pressure you. We usually see that within the first 24 to 48 hours, bad things happen. Hopefully it's not suicide, but we have had 2 suicide attempts as a result of sextortion here, and lots of money stolen. So I'm telling you, it's happening. So my best advice to families here is get it into the light. Don't be afraid to talk to your kids. I say this all the time, don't have one 60-minute conversation about this, have 61-minute conversations. So talk a lot to your kids. And I've been on the panel with a few people up here before, and she said this before, is that you sometimes just don't want to talk to your parents. Fine, I get it. I don't want to talk to me either half the time. Talk to people that you trust. That's why community is such an important word here. The police cannot solve your problem every time. I would love to. I am so frustrated by these cases. But work together and get this out in the light, and don't be afraid. There's no shame. And I'm telling you right now, I've had the best parents and I've had the worst parents, and everybody's affected the same way by this. It doesn't matter how good a parent you've been.
And youth in this audience, don't be afraid to come forward and tell your parents the truth. I know you think, I'm gonna get in trouble, I'm gonna be put on restriction. They wanna know. Trust me, they want to know. Nikki, you're on the front lines. Is the government doing anything to help parents?
I think that our federal government, there's a lot of great people there that we've met with, and Amy spent a lot of time with them, and they empathize and sympathize, and they work really hard to try to get federal laws passed that would help all of us in the United States with protecting our kids online. The Kids Online Safety Act got really far last year, and the problem is that these companies spend $50 million in a year fighting against these bills, donating to lawmakers' campaigns, and we have not been successful on the federal level in passing something that would actually help. And so I've seen a lot more success on the state level, but these conversations are happening, and I want parents to start realizing that our voices matter and not be afraid to make a call or send an email to either a state representative or your full-on US senator. Like, we can keep it local, but also don't be afraid to go state level or federal level. And organizations like ours will often share templates or petitions that can help you get involved on those levels to try to make it as easy as possible. Because it can be intimidating, believe me, but it's important that we all speak up.
Yeah. Robin, if you could design your ideal version of social media, what would be different?
I would make reporting videos like a lot more helpful, because this actually happened today. I reported a video, I closed my phone, I opened my phone, it was the exact same video on the top of my feed.
After you reported it?
After I reported it, after I blocked, same video. So
Can you say what platform?
it was Instagram.
Instagram.
Oh, didn't want to hear that.
They're in the room.
But
Turn the mic off.
It was a hacked account that posted something sexual that I reported and I blocked, and same video. So I'd make reporting just more effective probably. And I would we have so much AI, why not use it for good? And see these things that are being posted and be like, oh, that's not cool. Probably shouldn't show that to a ton of people.
That's very good. The reporting, again, that goes back to holding them accountable. Mayor, is the town collaborating with nonprofits, maybe parent groups that are here, tech advocacy organizations around these topics?
So an event like tonight is a perfect example. Organizations coming together, putting on an event like this. And we have a lot of great nonprofits, again, for our town that come together, a lot of different events that come from that. Our Rotary Club, they host their Run for Resilience 5K that they have, they've raised funds to put towards a teen mental health and eliminating suicide. We have the Mental Health Fest, and again, more resources for parents, for teens around mental health. We have our Southwest Community Alliance and the Alexander Neville Foundation, and they created the Parent Connection Academy. And again, more resources for parents, for teens, to help build that resilience, and educating them on safe phone usage, on the dangers of social media, all of these things. So we continue to work with our nonprofits, those that are on the front line fighting this fight. How do we get that information out to our parents, to our teens,
and creating more opportunities. And I love to see those organizations come together and the funds they're able to produce to help our youth.
Amy, what does justice look like for you, for Alexander, for other families like yours? Is it legal? Is it cultural? Is it political? Or is it intersectional?
It's all of it, yeah. It's, you know, in the early days of the investigation of Alex's death, and when I realized there were other deaths with the same drug dealer through Snapchat, my hope was that they would be able to arrest this individual and be tried on the other families, and then I could go and support them, because I didn't feel like I had the capacity in which to go through something like that. But when it comes to Snapchat and social media, I really feel that Snap was the catalyst that put Alex in harm's way. Alex was a chicken. Shortly before he died, there was graffiti in our neighborhood, and he was like, "Ooh, we live in a bad neighborhood, we should move." And it's like, that's ridiculous. And so it made him feel safe. It made him, once he started seeing all of that, that's what the world became to him. It seemed like everybody was doing it. And so it took something that happened in dark, scary places when I was in high school, when I was his age, and brought it right into the light, brought it right into his bedroom with him. And he didn't know how to turn that off. And so my hope, for me in this lawsuit, discovery was the long shot, and discovery is the win. Because once we have all those documents, which they're all gathering right now, we're gonna know what Snap knew and when they knew it. And as far as I'm concerned, that's huge, because we're going to be able to share that with the world, and we're going to be able to expose them for the criminals that I think they really are.
That's good. Chief Bryce, thank you for being open and honest about what's happening in your neighborhood. I appreciate that. Last year, you led your department through a very difficult and troubling case and public outrage surrounding the murder of Queen Creek teen Preston Lord. With you at the helm and your help, it led to the arrest of 7 teens on murder charges and murder and other charges. What trends are you seeing in youth arrests, overdoses, or other incidents that are tied to digital platforms?
That's a great question. And while I can't talk about the case necessarily in detail, just because it's still litigating and we have trials coming up, but I'm very proud of the work that the officers did and my detectives and how we got to that endpoint. I will tell you, it was one of the most challenging cases, because where you would think that everything everybody heard is, well, there's got to be a video out there of the incident. There was nothing. Nobody filmed anything. There was no evidence that way, and so, which was a strange thing in that particular case to have happen here. But what it brings home to me when we talk about teen issues is that it is here. I can't say that enough. It's in your neighborhood. It's happening here. I don't care how safe your community is. And Amy said it perfectly, is that these social media platforms bring it into your home without you really understanding and realizing it. So we see not only violence, and it led to, and I love the comment about what are the lawmakers doing about it. And I will say Arizona is very progressive when it comes to that. Is while not having government overreach, we passed several really good laws this year that help prevent some of the things that happen, or at least mitigate some of the things that happened in the Preston Lord case. And we're very proud of that. But again, that's reactive. So how do you stay ahead of this? Well, it's paying attention to those trends. So again, these simple things that you put on your phone, it's like walking around with a loaded gun. People have access to kids. They have access to the people that are vulnerable. So we see it happening, as I said before, the sextortion. And again, if you don't know what that is, it's basically what's described on the screen, is that they're enticing these kids to send them some picture of themselves, thinking that it's somebody from the whatever sex that these kids are looking for or looking to interact with, and they send this thing out, and then they extort them for money or sex or other things. And so that's happening here in Queen Creek. The fentanyl, the access, that's really the scary part, is it's so easy to get. And there are drug dealers in our town, and people that you would not think are drug dealers. And so again, law enforcement is working very hard to deal with these things, but as Amy talked about ad nauseum, and I was on here, is that these platforms hide the data, they hide the evidence, and it's very difficult for us to get that. So again, preserve what you can, pay attention, that's where the big difference happens. But we are vigilant here in Queen Creek, and we work really hard to try to prosecute everybody to the fullest extent, as you saw in the Preston North case. But I'm telling you, it's difficult. We need the public's help on every aspect of this. This is where the change happens. You cannot arrest your way out of problems. It's you that makes the difference.
That's good. Nikki, on one hand, you are the mother of a young child. On the other hand, you are taking on tech giants yourself. What advice do you have for parents?
Delay, restrict, explain to your kids why you're doing so. They don't need to be on violent video games or addictive social media platforms at all. You make the rules in your home, and you can explain to your children that it's not good for their brain or it's not safe, whatever age appropriate way you choose to explain it to them. For me, with my 3 kids, and they're 9 and under, so they're young enough where I can keep them off of these things. But a low screen home life that feels safe for me, and them understanding why we're doing that, allows me to sleep well at night when it comes to them, and so then I can go fight the bigger fight. And that even includes a low-tech school. Like, I'm going all in on trying to protect them. And so make the safest choice with the education that you've given yourself around these things. And just don't feel like because all their friends have it that they need to have it. I get being left out sucks, but being harmed is worse. And so, try to find one other family that feels the same way, and you guys can delay together until a certain age. That will be helpful. But know that even if they're the only one, that's okay. They're going to be okay.
Yeah, Robin, what do you wish parents or educators would do differently when it comes to tech and dealing with young people?
It's a good question. Well, definitely educators. It's just like a lot of school is like technology. Like, I spent most of my time in high school on my phone doing assignments on my phone. So like, if it was like less technological, I feel like it would be like easier to not like have these things. And my parents did really good about this. I didn't have TikTok until 18. Neither did I have Snapchat, and I didn't have Instagram till like 17, 16 probably. Like, I just stayed on Pinterest and hoped for the best. So I felt like that was like a really good, like, looking back now, but during it, my parents had to be really, really firm about it, because I was like, I'm so lame, like, I'm so, like, all of these things, because I didn't have it. But looking back, I'm so grateful that my parents did do that, so they did a really good job about that.
That is good. Yeah. Wait till 8, right? That's one of the proposals. What was? Wait until now. Just forget the wait till 8. We know it's a school night. I know a lot of people have to go. We're going to do final thoughts right now. I'm going to start with Amy, because Mayor, I want to end with you. What is the one takeaway after watching this film that you want this audience to walk away with?
I really want people to walk away with this feeling empowered to talk about this. You guys are all here tonight, so you all have the job of telling 10 other people to go watch this film. Tell them something that you learned tonight. That's what I really hope for. And if you have a kid in this space, or you have something going on, call me. I will talk to you. Let's work through this together.
Chief, your final thoughts?
She said it best. I don't think I can say any better, but to me, it's being a partner with your kids, being a partner with other people, and again, that empowerment, and get the message out there. Don't be afraid to be, kids, don't be afraid to talk to your parents. Parents, do not shame your kids. I know that's easy to say, but you have to just be careful and help them all the time, but empower. Love that.
Yeah. Nikki?
I would say talking to your kids as young as possible. It's never too late We can sit up. Well, it's never too late. You know, I tell my 4-year-old, you only take medicine that was given to you by a doctor or your parent. And so I'm going to keep saying that 1,000 times so that when she's a teenager and someone tries to hand her an oxy pill, she knows that she's not allowed to take that, and hopefully that will help. Also, your body is yours. You don't show anybody your body. You don't take pictures of your body. These are things that we can start telling our kids young, but if you're older and okay. Don't either.
All right, Robin, close us out.
Social media is really scary. Social media is really scary, and I've seen some really scary stuff on there, and it's okay to just not have it when you're young. I'm so glad I didn't have it for so long, because now I feel like I'm a well-rounded person. I haven't seen all of that scary stuff at a very young, impressionable age, which I feel like that's a good thing. So, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so let's give our panel a round of
Thank you all. So please scan the QR code. You can watch this film back. You can share it with friends, family.
Scan the QR code. When you get to the part at the bottom, just change it to the price of 0. And that will allow you to view it for free. Share it. Let's watch it again. Let's share it
multiple times. And we're going to close things out with Mayor Wheatley. Thank you all for being here tonight on behalf of Arizona's family. It's been a pleasure to be the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you. I just was sitting here reflecting, and my job as mayor is a policymaker. One of the things I do is I spend a lot of time at the state level when the legislature is in session, and thinking about what our state is doing at a state level. This past legislative session, there was a bill proposed that would have provided regulations for social media online platforms. And I'll tell you about this bill. You tell me if you think it's a good bill or not. And it would have required social media platforms to establish settings that provide high degree of privacy protections to each minor, allowing each minor using the service to opt out of the collection and the use of minors' personal information, and refrain from targeting advertising to the minor based on personal information outside of age and location. So it did pass out of the House. It was never heard in the Senate. It wasn't a big enough priority for the Senate to even hear it in the committee hearing. We need to hear from our community that this is important. It's gotta change. The lawsuit, a huge step forward, but working with our lawmakers, that's where we can have an effect. That's where we can make a change, and they need to hear from us. That chairman of that Senate committee needs to hear from all of us. Why are you not hearing this bill? Why is this not moving forward so that we can vote on it and pass it into law? So that's one thing. So from my perspective, that's what I see. From a community perspective, that's what we need more of. And I'm so honored to have this in our community, in our small town of Queen Creek, to have this. Amy, you do so much work here. Thank you for hosting this. Again, thank you to all of our sponsors. I gotta run through them real quick because we do appreciate all of you. The Mary Gloria Foundation, the Rotary Club of Queen Creek, Mental Health Fest, Letty Foundation, Academy Bank, Canyon Sense, and Scrolling to Death. Your partnership means everything. Thank you. And again, they said it best, talk to your children, open those lines of communication, have that safe space, and keep doing what you're doing, parents. It is a hard fight. I know it firsthand. We're in this together, and our youth are our most precious resource. It is so worth the fight. So thank you for being here tonight.